Welcome. Do you think it feels like Friday? Well, maybe it does because normally we do our live stream on Friday, but we're doing it on Thursday, and there's a whole lot of reasons. We're taping 2 shows this week so that all of our staff and team can be off with their families during Thanksgiving. Now, here's what that means. Every week on the Huckabee Show, we have fresh content. We never rerun. And in order to do that, when we take holidays, we just double up the taping the week before, so that's what we're doing. And tomorrow's going to be kind of a crazy day, so we decided today's less crazy. We'll do the live stream on Thursday. So no, you're not off a day. We are really here on Thursday, and we're so glad that you are here. Joining me, Pam Case, senior producer for the Huckabee Show. She'll be reading questions that you are sending in, which means you have to send them in. Because if you don't send them in, she's got nothing to do. Just sit there and look at her phone and check messages, I guess. So send us a message in the chat. You can send a super chat if you'd like more visibility, moves it up to the top. We've got moderators that are checking all of the things that you send in, be relaying them to us here on the set. And we just hope that you will fire up your social media and let us hear from you. Now, you may know that a missile was fired into Poland earlier this week. Lots of details coming in about that, and we're going to talk a bit about Joe Biden's response to all of it. With the Georgia Senate race headed to a runoff December the 6th, it seems like that this is becoming an American tradition. But we're going to talk about Raphael Warnock. He is the opponent for Herschel Walker, who is the, I'd like to say he's the good guy in the race. That's why I went to Georgia yesterday and campaigned for and with Herschel Walker. I love the guy. He's so much fun. People who think he's just some dumb jock have never really been around him. He talks in every man's language. He's a really smart guy and a lot of fun. And I love his wife, Julie. We'll talk about all that today. But we'll talk about his opponent because there are a lot of flags getting raised over Raphael Warnock and some of the things that he has said and some of the things he has done. And, of course, another big item this week, Donald Trump announcing his 2024 presidential bid.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Yeah, that scene was taken from Pam's living room that you could see her big screen TV, and a few of her closest friends had joined her in.
Yes. The neighbors are still upset with us, but
I bet so. I bet they were. And especially after they burned down, several of the other apartments and everything around that probably would have done it. Hey, before we jump into it, if you enjoy this show, hey, do us a favor, hit the like button, because we're going to try once again to get to 1,500 likes before the end of the stream. It helps us boost the YouTube algorithm. That way the video gets shown to more people, which I'm sure you, like us, would really want to see happen. So pop that button, smash it, hit it, bang it, do whatever you got to do, but touch that like button. Get us to 1,500 as quickly as we can. Remember that we'd like for you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and be sure to send us any comments. Speaking of comments, we always have a little pre-show poll. Pam will update us on what we have learned from our viewers today.
Absolutely. So around 400 votes already. Do you think Trump should have waited longer before announcing his 2024 presidential bid? Interesting response, Gov. Yes, 42%. No, 58%.
Interesting.
So there you go. But that's our pre-show poll today.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I would have been in that 42%. I thought he should have waited till after the Georgia Senate race. But once he decided he was going to do it, there was no stopping him. I will tell you, despite my apprehensions, I was very, very pleased. Thought his speech was right, the right tone, great content. He didn't talk about himself. He talked about the country. And my comment to Sean Hannity that night as the speech was going on was that if he can stay focused like that and focus on the grievances of the people of America and not his own, he'd be unbeatable. Yeah. That's the challenge.
Yes.
And I hope he can do that. But his message the other night was really, really well delivered. And to his credit, early in the speech, he talked about the importance of going out and voting for Herschel Walker, which was very important because you may remember 2 years ago, Georgia had 2 Senate seats that were up, and Trump, because of the ballot problems in Georgia, all but told Georgia voters, there's no confidence in your vote, probably won't be counted right, don't even bother. And a lot of them didn't, and we lost 2 seats. It was terrible, absolutely awful. And so this time, I guess, one of the things he didn't do is leave that out there, and he told people to go vote and go vote for Herschel. So I'm really, really glad he did that. Our favorite comment from last week's live stream comes from David Anderson. Here's what he says. The anticipated red wave may not have happened. That's an understatement. But I want to extend my congratulations to you, Governor, to your daughter's election as the first female governor of Arkansas. I was overjoyed when I heard the news of her landslide victory. All my best wishes to her. David, thank you very much. I have a feeling, despite your being overjoyed, yours may be subdued compared to mine, but then that's just me talking. I genuinely appreciate the kind words. And she did have a landslide election. 63.5% voted for her in a 3-way candidate race. So I'd take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday, I'll tell you for sure. Well, that was our last week comment of the week. But here's my question for you this week. Probably could have figured this one out. Will you support Donald Trump in 2024 now that he is for sure running? Leave your answers in the chat or in the comment section below. We'll give you a report on what kind of responses we get later in the live stream. All right, we're going to go to some of the clips that we've been watching this week. Before we get to them, I'm sure you've heard the breaking news this morning. Nancy Pelosi has announced that she is stepping down from a leadership position in the Congress. Doesn't mean she's leaving Congress, but I have a feeling she's not going to like it back there on the backbench. By the same token, once a person has been Speaker of the House, honestly, they don't want to be anywhere but in that chair and in that really big, nice office that the Speaker gets. And when she has to move out of that and basically just walk the halls like the rest of them, I'm going to make a prediction. I bet she does not fill out her 2-year term.
Wow.
I don't think she will. I think she will be miserable as a has-been, and it is not untypical for a person who's been the Speaker, whose party loses power, to at some point pretty soon say, I think I'm done.
All right, well, you heard it here first on this live stream.
Yep.
Let's see how it plays out.
Nancy, you got 2 years to make a prophet out of me or a liar. I don't know which one I'll be before it's over. It actually wouldn't be a liar, just be that I missed it, and I could have. But I think it's probably going to happen. All right, this week there were missiles that got fired into Poland. Poland is not at war with anybody. The initial reports was that it was Russia. Later, it was thought that it was actually Russian missiles, but they were owned by Ukraine before the split of the two countries, and that it was a defensive maneuver by Ukraine to knock down Russian missiles, but it ended up falling in Poland and killing 2 people. I mean, we were on the brink of what could have been a mess, even up to a nuclear war, because Poland is a NATO country.
Right.
So you got 27 NATO countries, and the NATO rule, Article 5, an attack on any one of a NATO country is an attack on all, and they have to engage. That would include the United States. Now, fortunately, we didn't just jump to a conclusion and say, okay, push the big one, here we go. That would have been a disaster. But first of all, the president was in a meeting at the G20. He was asked, what did he know about the explosion in Poland? I want you to watch his very thorough response.
Mr. President, can you tell us what you know so far about the explosion in Poland, sir?
No.
Thanks, Press. Thanks, Press. We appreciate it. Thank you, Press. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Press.
No. And then he just stares him down. That's really giving him a lot of information. Oh, wow. Anyway, so later outside the meeting, he gets pressed again by the reporters. Maybe the reason that he gave such a just one-syllable answer is because the one that he tried to amplify, it made even less sense.
Mr. President, is it too early to say whether this missile was fired from Russia?
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it is. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see.
I don't even know what that means. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia. What is that? Am I just unable to decipher that?
No, sir.
My gosh.
A little word salad. You know what?
Definitely word salad. It would help if he'd put some ranch dressing on it. You know, ranch dressing makes everything better. I think what Joe Biden ought to do is to take a bottle of buttermilk ranch dressing everywhere he goes, and when they ask him a question, instead of giving an answer, just take a swig of that. It'd make that salad go down better.
I'm sure they make a travel size. He can keep it in his pocket.
Given his propensity for statements like that, he doesn't need a travel size, Pam. He needs a big old, like, family bottle.
Fair enough.
Let's remind you, be sure and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'm wondering, why have you not already subscribed? But once you subscribe, hit that notification bell so we can let you know when we're going to be doing a live stream. And be sure to hit a like button because we're looking to get to 1,500 likes before the end of the live stream. I thought it was very interesting. Ron DeSantis always being pressured by the press about what he's doing, how he's doing it. He's done a remarkable job, and he's just not afraid of the press. But in talking about the vote counting situation, I thought he had one of the best answers, and he kind of swats down his critics in talking about the difference the way Florida does it and so many other states. Watch.
How is it that, the state of Florida, the Monday before the election, we could declare a state of emergency for Nicole, conduct an election, count like 7.7 million votes by midnight. Next morning, we're at the EOC, storm hits, you have washouts of A1A, other parts. We repair that by the weekend, and these other states are still counting their votes from the election. How pathetic is that?
That's a great answer. And how pathetic is it? It's real pathetic that Florida, within a few hours of having that many people, over 7.5 million people vote, they get it done. Votes are counted, both the absentee, the same-day ballots, all counted, accounted for, reported, and most importantly, without controversy.
Right.
Neither Democrat or Republican side ever have to sue the state of Florida and say, the ballots, there was something that wasn't done properly. Nope, it's done transparently, cleanly, and efficiently.
I wonder if Governor DeSantis would consider doing some sort of training over the next 2 years, like ballot collecting 101 for some of these states that need some help.
Well, there's some states that need some help. Let's start with Arizona. They sure do. Chuck Schumer this week popped out of his little hidey hole, and he's giving us a lecture on illegal immigrants. And he thinks that's a great thing, in part because the fact that we're just not reproducing very well. So we're going to have to import our labor. That's the way he put it. Here he is.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Yeah, I mean, that's his answer. Let's just go ahead. All these people that came across the border illegally, that got in front of the people who have been patiently waiting, having come legally, and they're told it may take anywhere from 5 to 20 years to get their citizenship. Let's just go ahead and let the line breakers go to the front, get their citizenship, tell those poor saps that have done it the right way that you were chumps for doing it, because we need the workers. Chuck Schumer, can I ask you a question? Do you think if we hadn't aborted 64 million people over the past generation, we might have enough workers? Has it ever occurred to you that your party pushing abortion, the killing of an entire generation of people, 64 million, Chuck, that's 1/5 of our population, for gosh sake. 1/5. It's like 20% of the current population of America has been aborted. If we're really concerned about reproduction, then let's quit killing all the babies in the womb. That might be a better solution than having people just fly over the border illegally. But it's just my thought. Love to get yours. You can share with me your thoughts in the comments section. Love to hear from you. I bet we have some comments. Speaking of that, let's go to a few.
We do indeed. Want to start with a couple of super chats. A simple, just donated super chat from Rhythm Rhymes and elsewhere, so thank you for that. All right, this one from Rick Kennison asking, as an independent, I'm sickened by how the Democrats are pushing us into socialism, communism. I will support whoever wins the Republican primary.
Well,
okay.
There you go.
And so there you have it.
And I probably will do the same thing because, you know, we have a basically binary choice between a Democrat or Republican when it comes to electing people, not just for the presidency, but for governor, senator, Congress, whatsoever.
All right. Always a question about your future inside that political realm, Governor. This one comes from Lindsay Bell. Gov, if asked, would you be willing to be on the ticket as a possible VP?
I don't think there's anything I need to stay up late and worry about because, honestly, I'm an older white guy. Who's going to pick me? As in nobody? So, you know, today it's all not about experience or about qualification. It's about diversity. And I don't provide the diversity that is necessary unless I decided that I would transform. And I could, I guess, identify as a disabled, black, lesbian, female. Then I could check all the boxes and I could be somebody's pick.
And with that, I think we'll just move right along.
Move on.
Thanks, Gov. Bat Lady 5577 says, I'd like to see Trump and Musk together, both businessmen. That should be interesting, don't you think?
Ooh. You know, I hadn't thought about that combination, but boy, oh boy, would that be a ticket that would be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, Trump is a nonstop show. And then you got Elon Musk, who I just find the most fascinating person in America right now. I really do. I think he probably leans libertarian. I don't think he's a Democrat or Republican so much. I think he's just a fascinating individual. And in so many ways, he and Trump have some similarities. They say what they think, they mean what they say, and they say what they mean. And they don't really care whether people like it or not.
Right.
But I'm loving watching Elon Musk just basically say to these Twitter twits, because his response to somebody who complains, you're fired, get out of here.
Right.
You have till 5 o'clock to clear out your stuff. Hey, welcome to the real world, Twitter employees. It's kind of refreshing to see that.
Maybe network television needs to give Elon Musk a show like they did Mr. Trump years ago. You're fired.
Yeah.
Watch him fire people. All right, so another Mike is asking, Mike, do you think it's wise for Trump and DeSantis to go head-to-head? Wouldn't it be weakening the party?
I don't like it because I think that right now we need to play team ball. I always said back even during the 2016 primary when I was one of the candidates that it doesn't make sense for us to slice each other up on that stage. None of those guys on that stage I saw as my opponents. I saw them as my rivals, a big difference. I never attacked the other candidates. Now, you can see where it got me, a talk show. Thank you, God. I'm enjoying it a lot. But the fact is, I like to think of it that we're all trying out to be the quarterback. Not everybody's going to be the starting quarterback. But whoever gets that role needs the support of the rest of the people on the team. So I never wanted to say something like, this person isn't qualified to be president. And then that person gets the nomination. Then I got to go tell everybody in America, this will be the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln. Because somebody's going to have the audacity to ask me, okay, which time are you lying? When you said he wasn't fit for the job, or now when you say he's going to be the greatest president ever? Don't put yourself in that box. So I hope that if there's going to be some rivalry between Trump and DeSantis, they stick to issues, not personal attacks. They don't denigrate the capacity of each other. And frankly, competition may be uncomfortable, but competition is ultimately good for us, makes us better. Not having any competition sometimes makes us a little lazy. Hey, speaking of competition, I'll tell you somebody who's got some. Raphael Warnock, he's the Democrat senator in Georgia. And thank goodness he's got some competition because he needs it. I don't know why the people of Georgia would think that he is representing them very well, because if you think about some of the things that we're learning about him, it's not pretty. He happens to have ownership in a place called Columbia Towers. It's basically a tenement. He's kind of a slumlord, and there are rats, and there's black mold, and all kinds of nasty stuff. And then he evicts people from these hideous places to live. But I think that maybe what's really sad, he won't answer questions about it. Now, I'm going to play you a video, but I want you to do more than listen to the shouted out question. He and one of his aides, a female, a lady, they're walking to the car. It's raining. Watch who gets the umbrella.
Senator Warnock, what are you doing to address the situation with the mold and corpses at Columbia Towers?
He gets in the car, she walks around. Look, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, maybe it was the way I was raised, but honestly, there's no way I could have walked out of that building and I get the umbrella and there's a lady. I don't care if she's third-tier employee. You just don't do that.
Always the gentleman. I mean, seriously.
I was just stunned by the video of that. All right, because this has been controversial, you may know that Warnock is the pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Famous church. It was once the church of Dr. Martin Luther King Sr., a very prominent church in the country, and he's the pastor of this church. I don't know how he justifies being so pro-abortion, pro-socialist. There's some things, he thinks America's a horrible country. But this is interesting. When people are pointing out about this really just horrible situation in these apartments that he has, he is able to somehow make everyone think that it's not about how the people live in those apartments. They're attacking Jesus. Watch.
I've been troubled by the folk who have the nerve and the unmitigated audacity to attack the church, to attack the Church of Jesus Christ, to attack the Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Well, quite frankly, Reverend Warnock, they weren't attacking the Church of Jesus Christ. They were not attacking the Ebenezer Baptist Church. What they were attacking was the fact that if you're going to follow Jesus Christ, you don't leave people in squalor. If you care about the poor, those who cannot take care of themselves, it's hard to do that, calling it a gospel mission, but let's throw you out because you're not paying enough, or let's leave the rats to run all over you in your apartment, or let's let there be black mold that's making you very, very ill. And somehow, if you complain about such squalor conditions, it's your fault and you're attacking the church. No, I think the church and Reverend Warnock have a responsibility to clean the place up and treat those people better. And if he treats people in his church like that, how do you think he'll treat citizens like you if you vote for him? You figure it out. And by the way, of all the things, and he's got many things that are just hard to understand, but this is one. He celebrates the Nation of Islam. That's the organization that's led by Louis Farrakhan, who is a very interesting guy. I would say it's fair to call him a true racist. Let's watch Reverend Warnock.
Well, the Nation of Islam is significant, but its numbers don't come anywhere near the membership of our churches. Its voice has been important, and its voice has been important even for the development of black theology.
I'm not sure I would be bragging that Louis Farrakhan has helped black theology. I would say, if anything, he's perverted black theology and the notion of a one true God.
Yeah, now have you heard too also, I guess this week or this last week in Atlanta, where he was speaking that Warnock also said that God is pro-abortion? Have you heard that?
I heard that. I mean, how sick is that God is for tearing a baby literally into shreds, and that God is all for that. I'd get away from the windows if I were standing next to Reverend Warnock. But you folks in Georgia, you got a choice. Herschel Walker's on the ballot. I was with him yesterday in Atlanta, did a rally with him. I really like Herschel. He's funny, he's fun, and he's nobody's fool.
Yeah.
He stands and delivers. It was really great. I've been with him a few times during the campaign, and he seems to be getting momentum that he really needs, and the people of America need that Senate seat, to say the least.
Well, you're answering a question, too, that we had from someone watching with us today, if you were supporting Herschel Walker.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go.
Absolutely. You bet I am. So we got a couple of questions we'll go to for the next video.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Now, Dano Shankles is asking, how in the world could you afford more kids than one or two, as bad as the economy is right now?
Well, it's a tough question. I think if you're looking at the economy, quite frankly, I would say, though, anytime you look at the cost of raising children, you can't afford it. But on the other hand, the value of doing it is one of the greatest joys that a human being can have. For most all of us, certainly in the days of my wife and I having little kids, those were the tough, lean, hungry times for us. And that's just things we did without. You just said, we can't do that. But I wouldn't trade those days with children for anything in the world.
Yeah.
And then, then they grow up to be adults, and then they give you something way better than the children. They give you grandchildren. Then it really gets fun. Anyway, okay.
You ready for another? Gov, I don't know that you've ever talked about this. Highland Homestead is asking, what do you think about TikTok?
I wouldn't get near it. I don't use it. I don't watch stuff from it unless it's on some other medium where I don't have to sign up to TikTok. It's owned by the Communist Chinese. It's a Chinese-owned company. And I would say that if you're on TikTok, everything, every stroke of your keys is being recorded by the Communist Chinese Party. I'm not saying that to sound alarmist. I'm just telling you that's what's happening. They didn't buy TikTok because they are really into social media and outrageous videos. Don't kid yourself. Nothing on TikTok is going to be seen in China. The Chinese won't get to watch TikTok because it'd be subversive. But they don't mind subverting Americans and Europeans and the rest of the world. But personally, I would not have anything to do with it because of that.
Okay, thank you. Mikey Barbie is asking, Gov, when will the world choose peace and stop fighting the rich man's battles? What is so hard about refusing to fight?
It's a good question, and I sense the genuine, heartfelt angst about war in your question, which I share, that nobody wants war. And by the way, the people who want it least are the people who are called upon to fight it. The one thing I've learned about our military, nobody loves peace more than they do. They're trained for war, but they pray they never have to engage in it. But there are times in human history when if we don't stand up to aggression, then it only gets worse. I think about the 11 million people that were murdered by Hitler, and maybe if people stood up sooner, not saying he wouldn't have killed anybody, but he would have killed fewer people. And the fact that we sort of stood back for a while and we were isolationists, we did not engage until we were attacked by Japan. But in the meantime, 6 million Jews, 5 million other people were murdered. These were not combatants, by the way. That's what I want to point out. These were civilians. These were moms and dads and little kids and old people. And they were just murdered in cold blood. It's a horrible stain on humanity. And I don't know, as much as I'd like to say never should we engage in war, what were we to do in that circumstance? How were we to just stand and watch this continue to happen, and even our own country being attacked? There's always that debate over, is there such a thing as a just war? And I think there are times when, quite frankly, it's a just war. The Bible is filled with many, many episodes of war where it was justly entered into to save God's people, or to attack those and to defend against those who were ruthless. I want to remind you that if you're enjoying this show, I'm sure you are, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because YouTube doesn't do us any favors in showing our content to people. So there's one way that we can kind of get it out there, and that is when you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then click on the channel, and especially that like button. That really does help to push it out to more people so others will know that we are on the air doing live stream. It's very, very important. I want to go to some more clips. This is an interview with the soon-to-be former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and she's asked, should President Biden run again in 2024?
Think President Biden should run again?
Yes, I do. I mean, President Biden has been a great president for our country. He has accomplished so much.
I don't know how she said that with a straight face, other than maybe the many procedures have left her with nothing but a very straight face, but she did it and said he's just been a terrific president. Well, let's see a couple of examples of the greatness.
I can't have trouble reading this. Reuters, Netanyahu boasts.
I don't know if you know, he was a press conference, so his staff hands him a card, tells him which reporter to call on, because he can't just look out there and say, hey, you, what about you? So they give him a card and they tell him who to call on, because they know that he'll call on the friendlies that won't ask him some embarrassing question or punch him with a follow-up. And so he's stumbling around Reuters. I say, news service, Reuters. Here's yet another example of President Biden, and just see if this matches up to Nancy Pelosi's definition of terrific.
That our significant climate investment will, quote, help turbocharge turbocharge the emerging global clean energy economy. I was reading their quote, sorry.
Yeah, you were reading it all right. Don't think it said it just like that, but thanks for playing. Glad to have you in the game. My gosh, what do you say?
No words.
All right. Another question?
Okay, we can do that. I can bring you another question. All right, so let's hear from Keith Sorensen. He says the YouTube channel, The Officer Tatum, talked about the division and infighting in the Republican Party. And how do we stop the infighting that, frankly, we don't see on the other side?
I don't know that we do stop it, because one of the, I guess, maybe hallmarks of being a Republican is we're pretty free-thinking people, and we like to engage in debate and discussion. Rather than telling people to just be quiet and not engage in debate, I think we ought to remind everybody that debate is healthy, that having a discussion, even disagreements, is part of what makes us intellectually honest. It makes us better, not worse. If we blindly follow people, even though we think that what they're saying is horrible, then shame on us. We ought to challenge the status quo. Now, we ought to do it respectfully, and we ought to do it thoughtfully. We shouldn't go to nitpicking, and we shouldn't get into the nonsense that, like you see on Twitter. You tweet something, and you have all these reactions where people just say, you're a stupid idiot. Somebody else says, no, you're a stupid idiot. No, you're a more stupid idiot than I'm a stupid idiot. And the next thing you know, you're dealing with 6-year-old mindset. That's not what I'm talking about. Not that kind of stuff. But if there's somebody who makes a presentation or makes an argument, you disagree with it, I think you have a moral and intellectual responsibility to say, hold on just a second. I got another point of view. Let me put it on the table. That makes us a better party, not a worse party. If the Democrats want to dishonestly believe that all of their views are so wonderful that nobody can challenge them, let them be the party of that. But I think that they look fearful when they do it. And all I say is keep it above board, keep it professional, keep it intellectually honest and defensible, not petty, but for heaven's sakes, the engagement of ideas makes us a better party, and I think a more attractive one.
I don't know if you feel this way, Governor, but Ken Springer is saying today, who cares what Nancy does as long as she's gone?
What a great answer. Maybe the best one I've heard.
All right. All right. We're going back
it.
to talk about, I think, Chuck Schumer's. This is from a clip that we showed a little bit earlier. Chuck is assuming, Robert says, with illegal immigration, is just people who are looking for a better job. But what about the drugs and the crime, Chuck?
Yeah, that's what Chuck doesn't acknowledge. Yeah, there are a lot of people who come here because they're trying to do better for their families. But most of those who are doing that, they're coming legally because they don't want to have to live in the shadows. I meet people every week of my life who have immigrated here. Sometimes I go to an event and it's a driver that picks me up at the airport. I love to engage the conversation, find out where they're from, how long have they been here, why are they here. I meet people all the time, and they're immigrants. And you know what? They love America almost incalculably more than any native-born American. They truly love this country. And they worked hard to get here. They worked hard to get their citizenship. They're proud Americans. That's not what Chuck's talking about. It's just like a blank check. But what Pam brings up is important. There are those who come, and they're not coming to make America better. They're coming to traffic little kids. They're coming to sell fentanyl to your community. 100,000 people died from that last year, more than died in all of Vietnam. And we ought to say, no, we don't want people bringing drugs across our border. The only way to stop it is to know who's coming. So, hey, don't forget, we're trying to get to 1,500 likes. Are we there yet? Do we know?
Not quite, okay.
Not quite?
All right.
Hey, we're down to the nitty-gritty.
Start liking,
here.
people. Start liking.
Hit that like button.
Hit. We do have some responses, though, Gov, on the question of the day.
Yeah.
Will you support Trump in 2024? That was our question today. Yes, says 82%.
Oh.
Yes, but not my first pick, 10%. And then I would prefer someone else. Man, almost 700 votes, those participating today. And I know we've got a couple of Trump clips, too, as well.
Yeah. Well, we ought to play them. This is Joe Biden, President Trump, in his announcement talking about Joe Biden. I may not be able to stay awake.
Now we have a president who falls asleep at global conferences.
Doesn't give you a whole lot of confidence. But in the heart of his speech, this is what I said earlier, President Trump talked a whole lot more about America than he did himself, and this is a great example.
My fellow Americans, we will join together and reverse this staggering American decline, and it is staggering indeed, and we will again restore the spirit of our nation. We will heal our divisions and bring our people back together through incredible success. We will defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, because this is not just a campaign. This is a quest to save our country.
And there were a lot of moments like that where he talked about the people of America and their needs, and I thought it was a very, very good speech that he gave. Be sure to leave your questions in the comments. Even after we're off the air, we'll still be receiving those and may make your question or your comment the comment of the week for next week. As we've said, hit that subscribe button and push the notification bell so we can let you know when we're going to be back. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to be sure that you know that we've got content uploaded almost every single afternoon. We record our Thanksgiving show in Nashville early, so I will not be here next week for the live stream. So a week after that, 2 weeks from now, we will have the live stream. But in 2 weeks, back on Friday, 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central. In the meantime, just remember, we load content every day here on this channel, and we want you to see it. But you don't have to search for the channel because YouTube sometimes makes it hard. So if you subscribe, you'll make sure that you get to see it.